Hey guys, Mono here. Update 14 is finally out, so I'll be giving you guys my first impression in terms of the new maps, the new British forces, their weapons, the vehicles, and some other pretty significant gameplay changes. Overall, I have some mixed feelings about this update. There's some good things, but there's also some bad things and some persistently bad things. The full patch notes I will link to down in the video description. I won't be going over every single thing. One good thing that I will mention is the patch notes are more extensive than they were before in previous updates, so I really enjoy that, being able to see exactly every single change they made. I think that's the way patch notes are done correctly, so it's good to see that. And also, I play on PC, so anything I say related to performance or server performance is on PC specifically. I have heard that El Alamein specifically runs really bad on console, but I haven't tested that yet. But if you're on console, seems like there are some issues. All right, so let's start with a change that you will feel as soon as you start playing, and that is that they've significantly increased the speed for sprinting as well as crouch running. They increased the sprinting speed by 15% and the crouch running by 5%, which might not sound like a lot, but it is. And though I do like it, like the previous running speed always felt a bit too slow. It was basically the same as the crouch running speed. I think 15% is too much. Maybe 10% would be good, and a 2% or 4% increase on the crouch running, like a slightly less increase on the crouch running and a bit more on the sprinting, I think would have been good. I think 15% is a bit too much. Hopefully, you know, they are not married to that change and will take in community feedback. I think there are people on both sides. Some people really used to complain about the movement speed before. This is better. Some people are saying, oh, it's like Call of Duty now or like Battlefield. It isn't. It really isn't. Right now, the running speed is on par with something like Postscriptum, maybe even a bit slower than that. But in Postscriptum, you do have stamina. You don't have stamina here. Please don't add stamina to this game. But yeah, I mean, it's a good change. I think it's a bit too much, though. Anyway, other changes to movement include the dolphin dive for proning, which you can now do. So now when you dive, you will go slightly forward, and it's a much smoother transition. Before, you would like stop moving and then just go directly vertically down, which was, you know, it wasn't a natural movement. Now it feels a lot better. So that's a really cool change. Movement in general, I would say, feels better than it used to before. Like there's some subtle changes to some animations. So yeah, it just feels better. All right, now let's talk about the British weapons. I'm not gonna review all of them because even though I played like 4 hours, I didn't manage to play all of them. But the main thing you need to know is that the British sights are absolutely terrible. They make every gun feel completely awful, regardless of the gun's performance in terms of recoil, in terms of, you know, one-hit kill distance or anything. The sights are the worst in the game, and I'll show you a comparison of what I mean. But right now, there is a lot of swaying of the gun when you move left and right. So when you're peeking in and out, the sight will obstruct itself, like the ring for the sight will block the other part of the sight. So you can't really see, and if you flick your mouse over to a direction, the way that the post moves relatively to the gun as you're swinging the gun makes it really, really hard to actually land a shot if you're moving your mouse too quickly. So yeah, they're really, really bad. They make playing as the British pretty awful and very unbearable, especially when you're faced with the Germans that have pretty much the best kits in the game. So the sights on the Sten gun, on the Lee Enfield rifles, on the other rifles, and on it's the worst. It's really, really bad. Hopefully they fix this, and they fix this soon, because otherwise just playing as the British isn't a fun experience. So this, I think, is the main problem that the update has right now. It's just how bad these animations are for the British and how much they make your aim sway all over the place. And hopefully, if any developers are seeing this, Do not add this movement to the rest of the guns in the game. Please revert the British gun movement to what it is for the other guns, because the gunplay in this game is what makes this game such a good game. And the amount of frustration I experienced today trying to land any shots with the British weapons made me think I was playing a milsim like Squad and not a hardcore shooter like Haladoos. This is not a milsim game, and that weapons rate just doesn't fit the game. No other team has it, so I'm really concerned about this. Other than that, the sights themselves, when you're taking shots and you're not moving too much, are fine, but they are nowhere near as good as the German sights or the American sights. But they are still pretty bad because they are pretty thick, so if you're shooting at someone at range, it's kind of hard to see them, though I did manage to land a 355 meter shot with one of the rifles, just aiming down sights, not the sniper rifle, so, you know, it's good, except for the fact that it's actually bad when you're moving. Anyway, now let's talk about the maps. El Alamein looks absolutely amazing. This has to be one of the best looking maps in the entire game. I love the new assets. I love the new look, the buildings, the amount of buildings in these like little town areas, the ruins and everything. It looks really good. Some people are going to complain that it is too open, and yeah, it is. It's kind of the point of this map, but there's also a lot of cover if you know where to look for it. So if you use the rock formations and the terrain to your advantage, you can easily flank the enemy in areas where you will get some cover, right? You can be fighting the enemy on the same side of the same mountain, and there are so many rocks and things that you actually have way more cover than in other maps in those areas. There are some really huge open areas, but then again, you know, if you're moving 600 meters away from the enemy or something, they're just not going to be able to land those shots. So you can flank anyway out in the open in those situations. So it is hard. I've always liked El Alamein in pretty much every World War II game. So yeah, that's kind of the identity of the map. It is what it is, but I think it's a pretty solid map. Drill, which is apparently how you pronounce it, looks a bit too dark in my opinion. I do really like the artwork, the trees, the houses, and everything. However, no houses are enterable, it seems, which I really don't like. Like, I haven't found houses you can go in, so that kind of sucks. I don't know why they did that, but overall, this map has some serious PHL vibes to it. There's this very samey open field area with these little irrigation ditches that have more foliage, and you can move around those like you can in Purple Heart Lane. There is a lot more cover than there is in Purple Heart Lane, but the overall nature of the map, both in the north side or on the south side of the bridge, is pretty much the same. So, I don't know. It's okay, but it is kind of samey. Fortunately, it's no Remagen, though it is a bridge map. You can cross anywhere. One thing that I haven't seen actually anyone try is that you can cross with the vehicles. So you can just drive a truck through the water and you'll be able to cross it just fine. Pretty sure you can do the same with the tanks. So yeah, I haven't seen people use that. I don't think they've noticed yet that the depth of the river itself is pretty shallow. So you can actually cross also as infantry anywhere on the map and not just the areas off to the left here. I think you would expect some fairly long-range encounters in this map, but it's actually the opposite due to the amount of foliage. You can't really see very far, so you end up having this kind of jungle feel to the fighting, which is fun. Overall, though, I think in both cases, it's too early to tell how the community is going to receive these two new maps. I think Drill will probably be better received than El Alamein, but I don't know, man. El Alamein looks amazing, and it can be a lot of fun to play, especially if you're using a tank, or of course, if you're going sniper, it is a sniper's paradise. Alright, lastly, the tanks. I didn't get to try the new tanks, but I did talk briefly to the Fresh Baked Goods. If you don't know him, he's a YouTuber for Hella Loose. He has a channel focusing on tanks, so definitely check that out if you're interested in the tanker's perspective on this new update. He did tell me that the Firefly is the worst heavy tank in the game, so that's the new British heavy tank. And he told me it drives like the old Shermans used to drive in the game before one of the updates. I think it was like update 11 or 9 or 10 or something that changed the way tanks are driven fairly dramatically. And here's a very interesting thing. Somebody on my chat while I was live streaming said that they were having issues penetrating the Sherman with a bazooka. It just wouldn't damage the tank from pretty much any angle. And that is a bug that you used to get with some of the old Shermans. So I'm wondering if somehow they ended up using the older hitboxes for this new tank, and now they have unintentionally introduced that old bug right back into the game. So I'm not sure about this. Don't quote me on this. I haven't tested this, and that bug was pretty rare back in the day, but it was a thing. So I'm not sure if that's going on or not. Leave your comment down below if you have experienced anything like that. All right, I was almost forgetting to talk about this, but let's talk about the nonverbal communications here. Now, as a squad member, you have this radial menu where you can put some markers on. And I don't like the way this is implemented because, for example, those are map markers, right? You can see it on the map there, and your unit can see those. All of these are only visible to the unit. But some of these are chat messages. So good work is not an icon. It's just chatting good work on the chat. Repeat, please repeat. Like, that's fine that there are, chat specific things that you can say. However, request bandage, for example, will put this icon on you as you move around. It's not a place marker. So there's nothing in this radial menu to know which of these are chat, which of these are map markers, which of these are going to move with me. Also, this request supply one is the parachute one, while when it should be the box, because I'm not requesting from the commander, I'm requesting from my own squad. So that also makes kind of no sense. Also, the duration on these, I'm not sure how it works. I think it's related to your own settings in the settings menu. But overall, it's a bit underwhelming in the sense that it's implemented and it's fine, but there should be some color coding here or something to categorize these and to let you know exactly what they do, right? All right, moving on, some stuff to be concerned about with this update is that the VoIP proximity chat is still broken. Like, you will get no proximity chat until you disconnect and reconnect a couple of times, which is the worst in a game where proximity chat is extremely important. So that's still there, and in my opinion, that is one of the worst bugs we've seen in Helldous so far. The proximity chat is so incredibly helpful and necessary in this game that not having it is just, I don't know, it changes the entire feel of the game. Explosions are still broken, or are newly broken, because I've seen some weird things happening. Like, the dual smoke thing is still happening where you blow a tank or something up and you will see two superimposed images of the thing blowing up. So it will look like this flickering effect thing. The other thing that I've seen is that sometimes explosions will just stop. Like, the vehicle will explode and then immediately go to the wreckage and, no smoke, no anything. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell is happening in terms of the explosions, but that's definitely something I experienced. Maybe it's server lag. There is some server lag still, though it's really hard to tell if that's just a prevailing effect that they haven't fixed from the previous update, or maybe it is just the launch and too many people trying to get into the servers and, just a lot of people playing the game right now. Maybe there's something to it in terms of that. It wasn't as awful as it was in the previous update for sure, but there were still some janky moments there. So it's really early, I think, to tell. If you are experiencing those issues, then please leave a comment down below. Performance-wise, I felt it really smooth. Like, I had really stable performance, 100 FPS, everything on Epic, except for, I think, motion blur. There were some hiccups here and there, but overall, it was extremely smooth. Again, I've mentioned this earlier in the video. I know console has some performance issues. It's always had some performance issues. But right now on PC, at least on my PC, which has a 3080 and a current gen Intel i7 processor, it's running incredibly well. So that's it, guys. That's my take on the update. I'm happy that there are 2 new maps and a new faction and new vehicles and new weapons and everything, but I do think they really need to work on a quick fix for a lot of these issues, like the weapon animation, the weapon sway thing, the potential server issues and performance issues, especially on console, and maybe retweaking the run speed and lowering by just 5% or something like that, but it currently feels a bit too fast right now. All right, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.